Lagos trader identified as Mrs Kehinde Raji has been arrested for allegedly producing and distributed contaminated yam flour, popularly known as Elubo Isu, using expired ingredients and harmful chemical additives. The arrest followed a tip-off by the Elubo Sellers Association, which raised suspicions over her activities in the market. Commissioner for the Environment and Water Resources, Tokumbo Wahab, confirmed that Ministry Intelligence revealed traders were mixing yam flour with toxic coloring agents to improve its appearance and deceive buyers. He said the ministry's enforcement team launched a targeted raid that led to Raji's arrest while she was allegedly in the act of producing the adulterated flour. We appreciate the vigilance of the Market Association in helping us uncover this public health threat, Wahab stated. Preliminary investigations have linked the tainted product to multiple health complaints from unsuspecting customers in the area. The commissioner assured the public that the suspects will be prosecuted under Lagos State Public Health and Consumer Protection laws. Officials have now launched a broader surveillance operation across local food markets. Authorities are warning that any trader found compromising food safety will face the full weight of the law. Wahab also urged Lagos residents to be vigilant when buying food products and to report any unethical practices to the appropriate state agencies. I mean, so many things have been adulterated in recent times. I, for one, got the experience of buying, the basic pomo that we throw into soups and stews, now and again. And the one I bought had this foul smell. Not bad. A different taste. Someone I eventually read somewhere that we now have different animals being presented as the normal cow pomo that we're used to eating. I've also heard reports as regards the palm oil being mixed with other. What are your thoughts in when you look at the story that comes with this adulteration of yam flour mixing with contaminated with chemical ingredients to boost sale?
Yeah, it's a dangerous trend because some of the persons doing these mixtures, may not even know the implication of mixing, what chemical they are mixing. They just know that I can put this thing in the product, but they may not know the health implication of that mixture they are doing, both to themselves. Because I suspect if you are an Elubo seller, for example, and you eat Elubo, you would likely eat from the one you sell. So when you mix it with something unhealthy, it speaks of more of ignorance than wickedness, or a combination of the two. So it calls for vigilance on the part of everybody. But to the unsuspecting buyer, how vigilant can he be? You get to a shop, you never ever thought of. I mean, as far as I know, the Elubo is made from from yam flour. So if I go to buy an Elubo, I won't even think of anybody mixing it or something. So the consumer is at risk. So it's risky. But my concern in this particular story is the arresting, the ministry doing the arrest. Is that the right ministry to do the arrest? I asked that to say this: if the wrong ministry has done the arrest, would they go to court? If they go to court, would they? I mean, if the victim, or rather the perpetrator, is big to get a very good lawyer, the case may be thrown out on account of that body lacking the authority to prosecute for such a crime. So I would have thought that since it involves food, maybe bodies like NAFDAC or maybe Ministry of Health would have been involved. For Ministry of Water and Environment and Water, I really don't know, because these are some of the things that makes good cases turn bad when they go to court. Then at the end of the day, the perpetrator is set free and he continues to do his nefarious activities. Then even the market people, the association who are found out and reported, feel frustrated, like, in spite of our frustration, in spite of our effort, nothing has been achieved, without knowing that the process has been wrong. So I think the authorities should look at who is handling the matter, who is doing the prosecution, if that's the right agency to do that. And there should be a continuous sensitization, and like I said, internal vigilance on the things that come around us. If you see something, as they say something. Because these things, I mean, every day you keep having people developing one ailment or the other. It could be because of some of these things people take unknowingly. You know, we can always say, oh, be careful what you eat, but how careful can you be in certain area? I walk into the market, I buy a bottle of palm oil, for example. How am I supposed to know that something dangerous has been added to it, especially if it is something that maybe does not alter the taste substantially, or I mean, so it calls on these things should also prick our conscience.
Let's talk about regulation. While our consciences are being pricked, do you think the conscience of, do you remember a few years ago when there was the story of formalin being added to
used to preserve food items,
especially meats. It's very, I mean, people get to know that this is used in a mortuary setting, but they'll rather put it in food. Do you think it is lack of awareness or just sheer wickedness?
It could be a combination of the two. There's a person who gives out that item. For example, if like they say in drug sales or something that's medicine, there are some drugs that are not off the counter. They are not for off the counter. So like I can't go to a pharmaceutical shop and say, give me these drugs. They want to see a prescription from somebody to know what I want to do with it.
Exactly.
Or to even know if I have the right prescription before they give it to me. So the same thing, some of these items, for example, the formalin we talked about, something like you've had people, suffer acid birth. The question would always be, how did these people get these materials, these items in the first place? So we should also look at how these things are distributed. If you run such facilities for the sake of society, also try as much as possible to ensure that some of these items is not left in the hands of just any of your staff. Those who understand the implication, so this is where education comes in. Certain people in certain industries should be thoroughly educated on the implication of some of the materials they use to carry out their legitimate duty. Know that this item you use for your legitimate duty, it's very important to use it because society must use it, but it's not something that should be left to everybody. It's not something, for example, you should send your security guards to go and bring. It's not something that you carelessly say, oh, this thing can be used to preserve something, and the guy have access to it, and you can even use it to preserve even his own food, not knowing the implication. So I think care should be taken, to educate people on the need to ensure that certain items are not carelessly given out so as to protect society.
Thank you.